Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Have you heard of anyone being forced to pay a bribe to a public officer when they try to obtain their driving license? Anyone having to bribe a government employee to obtain some kind of information or document? Do we have a law to stop these corrupt acts of government officers? Is there any department or authority which punishes such corrupt officials? Would you like to know? You will find the answers in today's session. We'll take a look at how the Lokpal and Lokayuktas Act came into existence and also how the Lokpal functions. Do you remember the huge movement spreading across the entire India in 2011, led by this person? Yes, he is Anna Hazare. In 2011 and 2012, he inspired lakhs of Indians to take to the streets, raising their voice against widespread political corruption in India. The demand was to bring a strong and effective law to remove corruption and to punish corrupt public servants. Does that mean there was no anti corruption law in India before 2011? Have you heard of this law? Yes, this is the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. This law also aims at reducing corruption by punishing the corrupt behavior of public officers. So, what was the problem then? Despite the Prevention of Corruption Act, there was still rampant corruption in government departments all over India. Does it mean that the law was ineffective? Of course, there are implementation challenges in that law, like any other laws. Even the law itself has some major loopholes. Consider this provision. Section 17 of this law states that even before inquiring into a complaint of corruption against a public officer, the police officer must obtain prior approval from the department head where that public officer works. If there is so much bureaucratic delay in even starting the investigation into the corruption complaint, how long would the entire procedure take? Another problem was that there was no separate authority or entity to conduct such investigations. We know that our police force is already overburdened with investigations into general crimes. The Prevention of Corruption Act was also not enough to take action against certain high profile public servants. Do you think a regular police officer can investigate into a corruption complaint against the President of India, the Chief Minister of a state, or any of these officials? With these objectives, the anti corruption movement led to the making of the Lokpal and the Lokayuktas Act in 2013. First, the act would establish a Lokpal for the center and a Lokayukta for each of the state of India. Second, these entities would provide for prompt and fair investigation and prosecution into cases of corruption. So, how does the Lokpal work? Who would be its members? What would be their powers? Let's take a look. The law provides that the Lokpal will have one chairperson and 8 members. Now, the chairperson can be selected from any one of these 3 categories. First, someone who is or was the Chief Justice of India. Second, someone who is or was a judge of the Supreme Court of India. Finally, third, someone of impeccable integrity and outstanding ability with special expertise of 25 years or more in areas like public administration, vigilance, finance, banking, law, or management. Apart from the chairperson, the Lokpal will also have 8 members. Now, these 8 members should also have certain qualifications. What are these? Out of these 8 members, 4 members must be from the judiciary compulsorily. That means someone who is or was a judge of the Supreme Court, or someone who is or was the Chief Justice of any state high court. The other 4 members are called non judicial members. Now, these other 4 members can be anyone of impeccable integrity and outstanding ability with special expertise of 25 years or more in areas like public administration, vigilance, finance, banking, law, or management. Imagine this scenario. Let's say Mrs. Radha holds the position of chairperson of the National Commission of Women of India. She has impeccable integrity and expertise in law for more than 25 years. Do you think Mrs. Radha can be appointed as a non judicial member of the Lokpal? What kind of issues would possibly arise if this is allowed? Now, just like there are qualifications for a person to be a Lokpal member, there are also some disqualifications. First disqualification: any member of the legislature cannot be a Lokpal member. Second, any member of panchayat or municipality or government local authority cannot be a Lokpal member. Third, any person who holds an office for profit or is affiliated to any political party or carries on own business or practices any other profession for profit also is disqualified. Now you should be able to answer whether Mrs. Radha can be appointed as a Lokpal member or not. What about the tenure of Lokpal members? Would it be for their lifetime? The law states that Lokpal members hold the position for 5 years or until they reach 70 years of age. Another question: what if a Lokpal member herself was charged with a corruption complaint? Would they decide their own case? In this provision, the reasons and methods in which a Lokpal member can be removed are mentioned. Lokpal cannot investigate into any complaint made against the chairperson or its own member. Such complaints can only be initiated by a majority in the parliament. This is to ensure that frivolous complaints are not made against Lokpal members to intimidate them or to threaten them. Some of the other reasons for removing Lokpal members are: 1. If the member is declared insolvent. 2. If the member has taken up paid employment elsewhere. 3. If the member has become infirm in body or mind. Now, if the Lokpal is established to take action against high positioned public officers, don't you think it should have very, very wide powers? Let's take a look. Chapter 8 of the Act provides for a long list of the Lokpal's powers. It starts with the supervisory powers of Lokpal. Lokpal has the power of superintendence over the Delhi Special Police Establishment and also over the Central Vigilance Commission. This power is also well regulated so that Lokpal's power does not extend to investigations outside corruption complaints referred by the Lokpal itself. The next power of Lokpal relates to search and seizure. The Lokpal has the power to order any agency to search any property, to seize any document relevant to the investigation. For the purposes of investigation, the Lokpal also has the power to summon any person to give evidence as witness or to demand the production of any document. Also, it has the power to order any public record from any public office. Like a civil court's powers in deciding civil cases, Lokpal also has been given similar powers for investigation into corruption complaints. For such investigation, Lokpal can also order the services of any government officer of any agency. Lokpal also has the power to temporarily seize or confiscate any property involved in corruption complaint during the investigation. Finally, Lokpal has the power to get a public officer transferred or suspended during the investigation into the corruption complaint. How does Lokpal conduct the investigation and prosecution of the complaint? If you want to know more about this, let's meet in the next session. Thank you.